Hello Hello everyone, my name is Arun Poddar. So today I am going to discuss about unit number 2, software requirement analysis and specifications, lecture number 11. So the contents that we are going to discuss in this video is value of good SRS requirement process. Now what is value of good SRS? So SRS stands for software requirement specifications. Now what is this SRS is? It is a medium through which the client as a user needs are accurately specified to the developer. So before doing any project, an SRS document will be created where it contains all the requirements in which both user and client have actually specified. Problem: the client usually does not understand software or software development process, and a developer does not understand the client's problem and application area. So what happens, this leads to a communication gap between the client and developer, which means that sometimes the client will not understand how the software development process is going on. Also the developer will not understand the client's problem as well as what all problems the client is facing in the application. So it may lead to a communication gap between client and developer. So the basic purpose of SRS is to bridge the communication gap between client and developer. Now what are the advantages of a good SRS? So an SRS establishes the basis of agreement between the client and supplier. So it is an agreement which is frequently formalized into a contract between client and developer. So the client clearly describes what it expects from the supplier, and the developer clearly understands what capabilities to build in the software. And SRS provides a reference for validation of the final product. So SRS helps client to determine if the software meets the requirement. There is no way a client can determine if the software is being delivered is what was ordered, and there is no way developer can convince the client that all requirements have been fulfilled. So developer can't convince the client that all requirements have been fulfilled. Okay. A high quality SRS is a prerequisite to high quality software. So many errors are made during the requirement phase. The quality of SRS has an impact on cost as well as project. The cost of fixing an error increases almost exponentially as time progresses. So as time progresses, cost of fixing error becomes more. Hence it is required to improve the quality of requirements so that we have huge savings in the future. A high quality SRS reduces the development cost. So if you have a good SRS, that is a good software requirement specification, so what happens, if you have understand the requirements and made the SRS with a good quality, so it will be developed at a very low cost. This is the requirement process. So the client or user needs are taken into as the input, then the problem is analyzed, and after that the product is described. So the requirement process is a sequence of activities that need to be performed in the requirement phase. So these are the phases that are involved in the requirement process. So the process produces a high quality document containing the software requirement specification. So these are the phases involved in developing a software requirement specification document. There are three main tasks that are carried out in requirements process. So those are requirement analysis or problem analysis, requirement specification, and requirement validation. First one is requirement analysis or problem analysis. So at the beginning of requirement analysis, the problem statement will be prepared. Once problem statement is prepared, the environment are modeled in order to understand the behavior of the system and input output of the system and constraints of the system. Thus in this phase the needs of the software are well understood. Next phase will be requirement specification. Now once requirements are easily understood, the focus will be clearly on specifying the requirements. So what are requirements should be needed in the SRS document. The issues involved in this phase are presentation of requirement, the language and tools chosen for specifying the requirements. So for producing the requirement, how to represent and what languages have to be used for that requirements. Now the goal will be to organize and describe large amount of information produced during analysis phase. Third one is requirement validation. Now the focus of this phase is to ensure that all the requirements of the software are specified in SRS and making sure that SRS is of good quality. The requirement process terminates with the production of validated RC. So this requirement validation will be ended only when the SRS document is validated properly. In this video we have discussed about what is SRS, advantages of good SRS, requirement process. Thank you.